Hello and welcome back to IDP Bets. My name is Johny the Greek. Happy holidays. How's everybody doing? Happy week 16. Hope you guys are still doing well in fantasy playoffs. We got a great show for you tonight. I am joined by a regular and a known degenerate. He is at Down with IDP on Twitter. Justin Varnes of fantasypoints.com, lead IDP analyst. Mr. Varnes, how are you, sir?
JTG, I'm doing great, man. How about you?
Things are good. Things are good. Made a little money last week. Still alive in a few leagues. Yeah, how you doing in your fantasy playoffs?
Doing well. I got a couple of teams that are still in the hunt, so hopefully we'll come home with a few championships, a little bit of money in my pocket. But mostly, I've been super focused on some of these IDP bets we've got going on. And what's great about that is that we can continue to bet all the way through the NFL playoffs and into the Super Bowl. So it's nice to feel like while the fantasy season is starting to come to an end, betting season is pretty much year round.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and we're actually hoping to do like a pretty big show for the Super Bowl. Get a bunch of guys on, including yourself. So I'll be banging on your door for that at some point.
Yeah, would love to be there, man, for sure.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. Well, before we get into it, just a reminder, these are not even suggestions. We're just discussing the bets we might be making personally. Set a limit and stick to it. For help with problem gambling, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. We went 4-2 on the official picks last week. The bonus bets were an absolute dumpster fire, disaster, but that's why they're the bonus bets. We saved the iffy ones for last. But we got some good stuff for you this week. Let's start with Mr. Varnes' first favorite IDP bet, week 16.
Well, normally I shy away from overs that are as high as 9.5 tackles for a linebacker, but this to me is just too good of an opportunity. And every now and then I find myself shying away from these just because they seem like we're really, it's you can really expect too much to always expect double-digit tackles. And I've seen bets that I should have taken happen because of this, particularly if you're talking about an elite player. And my elite player this week, who I think is just in one of the best positions he can be in, is Roquan Smith of the Baltimore Ravens. I've got him at over 9.5 tackles and assists. You can get that on ESPN Bet for about minus 125. DraftKings Bet 365, which is one of my favorite places to grab them. You maybe get it a little bit cheaper on Bet 365, but anywhere in that ballpark, I'm actually okay with. Anything 140 and below, I'm actually fine with. It's just a phenomenal matchup. He's playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, which has one of, if the not best offenses for creating linebacking tackles, opposing linebacker tackles. They just rack them up. It has so much to do with how they play offense and how their defense does as well. And remember that for whatever reason, well, it's not for whatever reason, but basically it looks like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson are invincible until they face the Pittsburgh Steelers. That Steelers offense really can kind of have their numbers. So I think the Ravens are going to get a good amount of snaps, and against this Steelers defense, the Steelers defense creates about 21 tackles per game to inside linebackers, and we already know that Roquan Smith is a tackling machine. He's put up double-digit tackles, I think, 7 times this year. Matter of fact, he played the Steelers a couple weeks ago, had 13 tackles. So I really like taking a double-digit bet when it's somebody as good as Roquan in a matchup as good as he's got this week.
Yep, and like you just said, we already saw it once this year. He got to 13. No Pickens again this week, so probably a little more Jalen Warren, Najee Harris, Fryermuth, shorter stuff that's going to be in Roquan's area. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. Nice, good stuff there. Alrighty, my first one for week 16 got plus money here. We're gonna go with a corner, Byron Murphy over 4.5 combined tackles at plus 130. So he's cleared this line in 6 games this season, and in 3 of the last 4 games, he's obviously 100% of snaps cornerback, unless it's like blowout rest or something like that. This week, he gets the Seahawks. They allow the most cornerback tackles in the league at 15.4 per game. Seattle is also the 5th best passing attack in the league. They are 9th overall for wide receiver targets. Geno Smith was given a clean bill of health earlier today. He's good to go. Metcalf's good to go. So, yeah, this looks like a beautiful setup for Byron Murphy to clear this line, and it's plus money as well. So, nice little bonus there. Any thoughts on that one?
No, totally agree. I mean, Seattle has continued all season long. What I like to see when I'm studying offenses and how they're producing is how consistent they have been. Because as we know, an offense or a defense, an entire team can start the season, go 3, 4, 6, 8 games, find some things that aren't working, and then we'll see the back half of the season. We'll see shifts in offenses and defenses. Some that were maybe man heavy have switched to zone because they're finding more success that way, etc. A run heavy team starts passing more, etc. So if I see consistency, which is what I have seen from Seattle through and through, which is that they are a pass heavy team. They basically have been that way all year. They prefer to put the ball in Geno Smith's hands. And of course, what that ends up doing is creating a ton of defensive back tackles. And it's more than that. It's also how they kind of, how they even get out to the outside. Instead of playing a lot between the numbers, they tend to even run more toward outside. So these cornerbacks, particularly ones who are involved in the run game, who are still have run fit responsibilities, like a Byron Murphy, that just gives you an extra tackle or two in the run game, and that's pretty much all you need. So yeah, I like this a lot. Anytime we can get plus money, always a good thing. So good call there.
Nice. Yep. Lining up pretty good. All right. What do you got for number 2?
I'm going to go back to that Pittsburgh Baltimore game. It's the same setup in terms of running the ball. And how many snaps this how many snaps the Steelers offense is going to take, and how they're going to run and pass. This also sets up really well, not just for linebackers, but for defensive linemen. And I think Nami Matuk has a great matchup this week. He has already put up 3+ tackles. So the bet is Matuk. It's over 2.5 tackles and assists. You can find that around 140, 150. Minus 145 is where I locked it in at ESPN Bet. So we just got to get 3 tackles to make this. Obviously, the juice is a little bit heavier, but it just looks too good on paper to pass up. He's playing plenty of snaps to get us there. I made a similar bet to this on Thursday night going against that Chargers offense, and I had Zach Allen of the Broncos. He had an over 2.5 tackle mark. He hit it by basically the end of the first half because that's how the Chargers offense runs. They're putting a lot of activity at the line of scrimmage. And Zach Allen plays enough snaps, and he's a good enough player to shed blocks and get to that running back. And that's what we saw. And this is exactly, I trust Matuk even more than I do Zach Allen. So he's hit 3+ tackles in 3 of his last 5 games. One of those games was against the Steelers. We just talked about how Roquan Smith just met the Steelers 3 weeks ago. Matuk had 5 tackles in that game. So I think that gives us a nice little bit headroom. Let's say he doesn't get quite as lucky. He can still end up with 3 or 4. Either of those makes that bet for you.
Yep, I'm with you on this. This number is too low for the game script we're going to get out of this. So, yeah, feels very, very likely. Yep. Nice. Alrighty, some good options to start. I got another plus money one. I don't know what's going on with this week, but we'll take it. So I'm also going back to this Steelers game. I think we got a lot of good stuff coming out of this matchup this week. I'm going to take Cameron Hayward on the defensive line over 4.5 combined tackles at plus 120. So he's cleared this line in 6 games this season, and each of the last 4 games as well. So 4 weeks in a row. He gets plenty of playing time. He's at about 70-ish% of snaps per week on average throughout the season. That can go up, though. This week he gets the rematch with Baltimore. They allow the 6th most tackles to opposing defensive linemen at 17.6 D-line tackles per game given up. Plus Baltimore, Deontay Johnson just got waived. Aguilar's out. Bateman's banged up. And they're the 2nd best rushing attack in the league. So we already know we're getting a heavy dose of King Henry. We might get even more King Henry this week with all the wide receiver injuries and shenanigans going on. Plus Vegas has Baltimore as a touchdown favorite. Many expect, myself included, a better Ravens team this time around to really kind of stick it to Pittsburgh. So we could be in for some kill the clock carries late as well. It's a pretty good setup. We're relying on one of the best and most talented defensive tackles to ever play the game to do this. And it's plus money. So I think it looks pretty good. What do you think on that one?
Yeah, same thing we were just talking about with like Zach Allen and Madubuike. If you get these guys who play a ton of snaps and they have proven week in and week out, I mean, nobody's proven it more than Cam Hayward. I mean, a couple of years ago, he led led all defensive linemen in tackles. He nobody can do it better than he is. Now, obviously, he's got age working against him, but he's beat Father Time pretty much all year long. And it's one thing to continue to penetrate and get to the quarterback. It's another thing to at least hold your ground and make some tackles, particularly as long as we've got volume. And I think on both sides of the ball, it's going to be a pretty heavy run game. And obviously, Lamar runs plenty. You got King Henry, who they're just clearly going to be leaning on. And we see this also later in the season. The weather gets colder. We see a lot of these offenses start to lean more and more on their run game. And this is a game. I mean, obviously both teams wants to win, but this is a game Baltimore really wants to make sure they win, and this, I think they're going to want to try and control this game as much as possible, and I think they've got the personnel to do it. So yeah, good call there.
Yeah, I think it's at Baltimore. They missed 2 field goals and they had some bad turnovers the first time. I think it could be a bloodbath this time. So we'll see. But nice. What do you got for your next one there? Number 3.
So I'm going to go under here. This is one of my favorite linebackers in the game, but he doesn't have a lot of the same setup for tackles that a lot of our other linebackers do, and that's Demario Davis of New Orleans. Now, he's actually had a handful. I think he just got his 3rd or 4th double-digit tackle game last week, which is great. But the New Orleans Saints just aren't built. Their defense is not built to put Demario Davis in a position to where he is roaming and able to kind of clean up tackles. They play a ton. They play some of the highest man coverage in the league. That doesn't put Davis in a position, like I said, to just kind of roam and gang tackle like a lot of his other LB cohorts. So this line came in at 9.5 tackles and assists, and I took the under on that, asking Demario Davis to have yet another double-digit tackle game, which is just not really normally his game. It hasn't been for the last several years. I think that's asking too much. But in addition to that, he's going against the Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers are average to a little below average in creating linebacker tackles. So he doesn't have a good matchup. He has an average or slightly below average matchup. And I think that plus however much heavy man that they tend to play, plus the fact that just in general, he is not usually a double-digit tackle guy. I think that I was expecting this number to come in at 8.5 tackles because that's about where he lives around 7 or 8 tackles. So the fact that it came in a little above, I think to me is based on some of the good fortune he's had to have so many double-digit tackles in the last couple of games. So to me, this is just one tackle too high. And obviously, we were talking about this with Cam Hayward. You don't want to put this too much into your betting strategy, but this is a veteran. This is a team that's super banged up and probably not going anywhere. So there, between just giving some veteran rest, particularly if this turns into a bloodbath, and also just it's always a little bit higher of a risk of injury if you've got an older player, and we're starting to get deeper into the season. We've seen that every week I read through that injury report, and I just see veteran after veteran as we get farther into the season or further into the season. So to me, they just have two things stacked up. I already wouldn't expect him to get 10 tackles. He's playing a team that doesn't give a lot of linebacker tackles, and also just with this being one of the last games for the Saints of the season. If it gets ugly quickly, I could see them resting their veteran a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's a 14-point spread that game too, so it's probably going to get ugly pretty quickly. Yep. And so I agree completely. And then also you look at these box scores every week, same as I do. If it's not a corner at the top of the Saints box score for the most tackles each week, something weird happened.
Right. Amen.
Yeah. Nice. All righty. All right. Number 3 for me, I'm going to take an under here and another corner. A little risky, a little juiced up, but feels pretty likely. I'm going to take Starling Thomas under 3.5 combined tackles at -155. So he's been under this line in the last 4 games consecutively and in 10 games already this season. 10 games out of 14 total. That's 71% of the time he has 3 or fewer tackles this entire season. So not a great IDP cornerback, that's for sure. Beyond that, Starling Thomas and the Cardinals are up against the 20th overall team for allowing cornerback tackles at just 12.1 per game in Carolina. The Panthers just don't complete a ton of passes to their wide receivers. And when they do, it's very likely that Starling Thomas won't be the one to make the tackle, especially considering he only maxes out at around 77% of snaps or so for the last month and change. So, yeah, we've got several different factors all pointing towards the under for this bet. So we'll see what happens. But what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the 77% snap share, because that was going to be one of the things. When you said his name, that's the first thing I thought is there anytime you're playing with a cornerback who's not playing every snap. Cornerback tackles are already volatile. I just, while you're talking, I pulled up some numbers from our good buddy John Macri over at PFF. Starling Thomas played 72% of the snaps last week. Of those snaps, he only spent 2.7% in the box. And he didn't play any slot snaps. The reason those are important is because if he's not also hanging around the line of scrimmage, we talked earlier about Byron Murphy. If he's not also hanging around the line of scrimmage just a little bit to pick up, to at least give him a chance to pick up the occasional assisted tackle, during a run play. If that's not happening, you're really lowering his tackle floor. Last week, Thomas faced only 3 targets. And again, as you were saying, Johnny, the Panthers just don't throw that much to begin with. I don't think their offense is going to be able to stay on the field enough to do that. And so to me, the fact that he's not playing around the line of scrimmage, the fact that he isn't playing every snap, and he doesn't have a good offense to attack him on the other side. Although Bryce Young clearly, obviously, we've seen improvement there, but this is a team that's looking at 2025 already, right? To me, I like this one a lot. There's nothing there that says he's going to be able to pick up an extra tackle or two. Just too many. We talked about this, Johnny. You and I did last time we were on the air. It's like you're looking for either like you're trying to stack the pluses or stack the minuses. And if you start looking at all these different angles, and pretty soon you're like, oh, it's a good matchup. He's playing more snaps. They're at home with a good tackle crew. These pluses start adding up, and then you feel better about taking that over that you've already projected to begin with. So if you've projected the under on this already, and you've got all these minuses saying he's low on snaps, Panthers aren't a great offense for you, and he's also just not hovering around the line of scrimmage, those minuses stack up, and that's usually when you want to take the under. So I like that one.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I just thought of a minus while you were bringing up some of those points. Carolina is the worst rush defense in the league. They're going to get crushed in the time of possession battle against the Cardinals, which are a top 10 rushing offense and run the crap out of the ball really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Carolina stat crew, they are stingy when it comes to giving out solo tackles. They give out assists more than solos. And the reason that matters here is because if he, often if it's the sort of thing where he might, if they've got tackles coming in, they may elect not to give a solo to him, but give only an assist to another player. So it is not, they don't always do assist. Sometimes they won't split it that way. So even just a little bit, all those tiny little minuses add up in the wrong direction or the right direction if you take the under, which is what we're doing.
Exactly. Yep. Nice. Beautiful.
Do you have any bonuses?
Yes, I do. I know you're out Christmas shopping all day, so I got one for us. So I got us covered.
Thank you.
All right. So bonus bet this week, obviously a little iffy. That's why it's in the bonus bets. But Josie Jewell over 9.5 combined tackles at plus 100. Great price. I think looks pretty good this week. He's crossed this line the last 3 games consecutively and in 5 games overall this season. That doesn't sound great. but he also missed 3 games due
Yep.
to injury, so it's a little bit better, right? He is a 100% of snaps inside linebacker. He gets the Cardinals this week. They allow the second most tackles to opposing linebackers at 18.4 per game. We just talked about this. Arizona's a top 10 rushing offense, and unless Carolina jumps out on them and forces them into a negative game script, which I don't think is going to happen, we're going to get a very heavy dose of James Conner, which tracks because Carolina is the worst rush defense in the league. They allow 173 yards per game on the ground. Beyond that, Trevin Wallace just went to IR. Claude Cherilus, the backup for the backup for the backup, is also on IR. So competition for tackles won't be as big an issue as it once was. It is a higher line, which is why it's a bonus bet, but it's also plus money, and we got a bunch of factors pointing in that direction. What's your take on that one?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. I mean, to me, I was just thinking of a bonus bet I wanted to add as well, if I can throw one in real quick.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I was thinking about for bonus bets, I tend to look at sacks. And one that stuck out to me is Andrew Van Ginkel. The Seahawks, they are obviously we talked earlier. They're such a pass-heavy team that creates more opportunities for sacks, and Geno Smith is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. And I just think also playing across from Jonathan Grenard. Grenard's line is worse than Andrew Van Ginkel's. Andrew Van Ginkel's at -110 for only a half sack or over 0.25 sacks. So for AVG to come down with a half a sack at -110, I like those numbers. I also like Grenard, but his number is higher. His juice is -170. I'd rather take AVG on that. Geno Smith just continues to get sacked just because there are so many dropbacks over and over again. And Grenard and AVG, to me, are really clicking on all cylinders. Both of them are doing a good job of getting into the backfield. So to me, if I'm going to throw a bonus bet out, it's going to be a sack bet, and I'm going to take that, which is about as close to a plus bet we can get for a duo like Grenard and AVG.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you. Vikings, I think, are a top 5 defense for sacking the quarterback this year. Everyone gets sacks on that team. It's crazy. So, yeah, I'm with you. Good stuff there. Nice. Good stuff. Before we get any announcements out of you, real quick, Mr. Togo, if you're still watching, check Mike, excuse me, at Mike_Wollert's tweet earlier today. Same thing for you, Nick. He's the linebacker guy in the rankings guy. But that's it. That's what we got for week 16. Justin, where can the people find you? Do you got anything going on this off season? And what do you got going on the rest of the year?
Well, yeah, you guys can always follow me on Twitter at Down with IDP. You can reach out there with questions. We had somebody from the IDP show reach out earlier today with a linebacking question via DM. Always happy to answer questions like that. You can find my work on fantasypoints.com. Where I handle IDP and the defensive bets over there as well. And obviously, I'm popping on the IDP show whenever possible, whenever these gentlemen will have me. So that's basically where you can find me. And then I'll be doing stuff throughout the playoffs and into the Super Bowl as well. So look for a lot of bets there. And yeah, if Johnny and the crew will have me back on, we can do one more of these maybe in the playoffs. That'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. I pitched it to Josh. I said we should do a Super Bowl like all-star cast and have a bunch of us. And, we'll all have the same bets probably, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. There's only 2 teams playing, so we'll be, that's fine. It'll be fun to chop that up, though. That'll be good.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Justin, for coming on. We love having you, man. It's been a great season. You brought some really good stuff. I appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure to do this. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. And yes, please, if anyone is looking for start sit advice, there is an IDP show start sit that is happening Sunday morning right before all the games. You can tweet any of the guys on staff, DM any of the guys on staff. Go to the site, theidpshow.com. There are rankings there that will answer all the questions you guys have been sending in to the betting show, not the ranking show. But thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Good luck this week, everyone. We'll catch you next week. Before we get out of here, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for the other shows, the flagship IDP show podcast, the IDP after show, the IDP trade show, and IDP drafts. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so for just $5 a month over at theidpshow.com. We've got premium features for paid supporters that we know you'll enjoy. Follow us on Twitter at the IDP Show, all in one word. Thanks for listening and good luck this week, everyone. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll catch you same time, same place next week. Take care. Bye-bye.